Let's see if we are live. I'll start once I can see some footage here. Am I live? Oh, it looks like I'm live, you guys. This is good. What's going on, guys? I'm on a little bit of a vacation here, so I'm not at my normal recording studio. Before we get too far in, I'm just going to try and make sure the audio is working. So I'm going to turn the volume up on my phone real quick. What's going on, guys? I'm on a little bit of a vacation here. Oh, cool. That sounds pretty good. All right, cool. Well, then we should be good to get rolling here. So happy Friday, everybody. It is March 13th, 2026. Got some cool news today. We have a little bit of a rally going on in the market. I've been saying on this channel, I want to see 5 days of forward progress before I get too excited. We might actually be there, so I'm pretty excited about that. By the way, like I was saying in the intro, I'm on vacation, so kind of cool. I got my mobile streaming set up. This is cool, fun way to do these things. Kind of a little of a bit of a tax tip here, but if you guys want to be able to write off your trips as a travel expense, all you have to do is start a YouTube channel and say that wherever you were going, you're going for content. You could even start a travel channel just to get those airline tickets, your Airbnb fees, all those things are expensible if you have a travel channel. So what we're going to be doing here, in case this is your first time, or if you're watching the live playback, we're going to be doing an overall wellness check on the crypto market. A lot of cool stuff has happened in the past 48 hours. I wasn't able to stream yesterday, so we're going to get a little bit caught up there. We'll look at the crypto, we'll look at silver and gold. We're definitely looking at oil because oil is back up on the rise. We'll look at the US stock market, and then we'll break down some of the things I'm doing in DeFi and whatever news is coming out going into the weekend. On top of that, I'm going to also do what we're doing here as a pre-recorded video for those that maybe want this as a little bit more breakneck pace. Expect that to come out sometime around 4 or 5 p.m. I like to wait until the U.S. stock market's closed. That way we can get like an official word. Here's where the week closed on. So we all know that crypto trades 24/7, but the U.S. stock market does not. The oil market also does not. So one thing that would be very cool is if we get to a point where everything gets tokenized, including the stock market. Well, that could be pretty cool because that would mean that the stock market could trade at 24/7. So going to be something that we talk about. I'm already seeing in the live chat, TAO or Tau is on a run. I looked at that as well. Tau is up 50%, you guys, in the past, I think, week or maybe it's a month. I'm going to start sharing my screen and we'll be diving straight into things. So let me make sure that I've got all of this properly set up. So I can't see my face anymore. Let me make sure that we get this thing figured out real quick. Hold on. So you guys, a laptop. I'm not on my normal computer here, so I'm just gonna try and figure out what real quick, and then we're gonna jump in. So you can see my screen, but my video is not coming up. So let me just see what's going on here, and then we'll jump right in. So camera is not doing anything. Okay, well there's that. I guess we could use that, but it's not the camera I'd like to use. Well, let me try one more thing here, and then there we go. Okay, well that was strange. Not sure what was going on there, but it does look like we are good to go. So I'm going to jump over to coinmarketcap.com. I don't have my second monitor, so I'm just going to give it about 5 seconds to see if the stream catches up. That way, I want to make sure that you guys can see what I'm seeing. It looks like I can. Good opportunity here to say good morning, everyone. So good morning, Barbara. Good morning, Bill. Good morning, Scorpio. Good morning, FRD. Good morning, Echo. Good morning, Millpower. So as I just stated, I don't have my normal second monitor up, so to read through the chats, I'll have to use my cell phone, which means I may not be as attentive to the chat as I normally am. I usually use my phone just to make sure that the stream quality is good, but it's the font is very hard for me to read the chat, so I'll do my best to keep up with it. But just breaking things down, it's been 48 hours since our last stream, so things have been moving. Right off the bat, fear and greed is back up to 35. We're really coming out of that red zone. In fact, if we kind of zoom in here on the 30-day average, really in the past 48 hours, the fear and greed has climbed out of the 20s into the 30s. This tells me that the overall market it's kind of, what's the right way to put this? I feel like the crypto market's already gotten its blood, and I feel like the general sentiment is that the worst is over, and I actually, in a weird way, I think that's true. I was expecting us to get one more big dip before the recovery, but it looks like that might not be in the cards. So I'm going to pull up Bitcoin. Shortly before I started the stream, Bitcoin was just about to hit 74,000. I think it actually may have hit 74 for a very, very brief moment. And this would have quite literally have been about 20 minutes ago, you guys. I'm looking at this chart right now. It got up to 73,828. It looks like that was the highest candle that got recorded. And this is over a 24-hour period on this chart. So if I were to go to an hourly chart, I bet we could even get even more hammered in there. But I was really expecting, these things kind of always happen right when I hit the go live button. The market starts to do something crazy on us. If I would have started the stream 20 minutes ago, I'd be saying, hey guys, look, we're all the way up to 74,000 on the Bitcoin. Of course, looking at the rest of the market, that would all kind of, extrapolate out to the altcoins. So the big theme here I've been saying for a long time on this channel, I've been waiting to see if we can get 5 days in a row of a crypto rally. That would tell me that, okay, maybe we can finally start to look on the bright side. So I'm looking at this, we're at around 4 days, so we're not quite at that 5-day mark. But if this continues to go up through the weekend, tomorrow will be Saturday, so there won't be a stream tomorrow, but if we can make it through the weekend with continued momentum, I'm fine with saying Monday morning that we are out of the mire and starting to go back up. If we can see that trend of 1 week of real solid growth in the market. A lot of the times momentum is a big factor, and when you see a shift in momentum, it tends to continue riding that wave. So if we pull this back to a year, you can see, by the way guys, I'm on a laptop, so the monitor might be might not be as big of a screen as what we're used to here. But this chart is the 1-year Bitcoin chart. We really haven't seen forward momentum since December was the last one, but that December took a real big dive, like right around Christmas time. January 15th is when things just started to really just kind of like fall off a cliff. We haven't had 1 week of solid progress since. So this is a start, right? 1 week of solid progress is a start. Got a long ways to go before we have true recovery, but this is kind of telling me if this market can hold on to this momentum for at least another few days, then I will be able to say maybe the worst is over. Until then, anything goes. We could be waking up Monday to like a $70,000 Bitcoin. Nothing would surprise me at this point. And that would also extrapolate out to our other favorite coins as well. So XRP right now sitting at $1.42. This one, I mean, geez, just a few minutes ago even, all the way up to, what would it have been, 145? So we were just about 145 right before I hit the go live button on the stream. That would have been about quite literally 20 minutes ago. Now we've seen it kind of fall off about 2 cents. So a pretty aggressive slide We'll see how this carries out throughout the rest of the stream. Sometimes these little bit of pullbacks, it's just like profit taking, and then we might see that positive momentum kind of push us through the weekend. We'll see. I'm even seeing right now, it'd almost be nice if CoinMarketCap could go to an hourly chart. I do believe if you go to DEX mode, you might be able to get that. Okay, cool. We'll just look at DEX mode here just for a few minutes. We might start to see some movement here in the green candles. I'm looking at right now, we have the 1 hour. Let's see what 5 minutes looks like. So even right now, I'm seeing that we've got a nice little green candle getting started here. So there might have been some profit taking right at this level, and we might start to see this kind of move back upwards while we stream. So cool stuff. Obviously, you guys know I'm all about my XRP. Guys, don't forget about the Nostro Vostro accounts. I'm seeing a lot of... what's the word to use here? I'm seeing a lot of FUD on Twitter. People saying like, oh, XRP is maybe not what we thought it was. Guys, the Nostro Vostro accounts is what matters for XRP. And that has not changed. That's not going to change. If we get the Nostro Vostro adoption through XRP, that's how you're looking at those 3-figure to possibly 4-figure prices for XRP. It just hasn't happened yet. We still have some other things that have to happen first. We know the Clarity Act is who really knows what's going on with that right now. We know that there's a bill trying to be pushed through, but we just don't know if it's going to happen, and we don't know if it's going to be the bill that we want. Now, there's some issues with the bill we've covered on the channel. For me, a very big deal is the DeFi stuff. I don't want us to lose DeFi. I'm really, I would almost rather, hold on, I just got to move one of these wires. I would almost rather that we don't get a Clarity Act with bad DeFi, clauses in that. I'd rather just say, hey, look, let's just go back into dormancy, lay low for a couple years, keep stacking, and hope for a better bill. We'll see what happens. Obviously, there's nothing I can do one way or another. All I can do is just watch the market and track the news. But that's just kind of where my head's at. I'd rather see a good bill than a bad bill. And if I had to choose, I'd say no bill over a bad bill. Even if that means that we have to wait a little bit longer. When I say a little bit, I mean maybe even a couple of years. But I really hope that it doesn't come to that point. That's just how I feel about it. So Clarity Act is in the it's hanging in the balance. By the way, I've got a little bit of a dry throat. Maybe at some point I might grab a glass of water, but we're not quite there yet. But Clarity Act might be in the balance for the month of March. I think we're probably going to know something one way or another by April. So we're just going to have to keep watching. I have to imagine if we're going to have the Clarity Act, it has to happen before May 1st. Reason for that being is that the Senate they don't meet all the time. So there's like a schedule to all of this. So if we don't get the Senate to meet on this before that May time period, once they start moving into recess, or if they start moving onto the the Iran war, if they table this, it could get tabled all the way through midterms. At that point, that's when the Clarity Act might just kind of get absolutely destroyed by the Democratic Party. We're just going to have to see, guys. There's nothing that I don't think there's really much any of us as individuals can do. Now, I know that on the Paul Barron show, he's been asking us to call our senators, say, hey, look, we don't like this bill. We don't support it. I think that is something that you could actually do. Now, it depends on your state. Now, I live in a state that has very, very strong Democratic backbone. So a guy like me, they might not even pick up the phone. But some of you guys that might live in the southern states, a little bit more red, I definitely think there could be an opportunity there to call your senator, try to get through to them, say, hey, look, we want our DeFi. That's what we're all here for. Make sure that's in the bill. Don't take that away from us. One more time, I'm going to pull one of these little guys through the zip tie. There we go. Just enough cords to get through here. I'm on my mobile desktop. This is pretty sweet, you guys. This is basically my same studio at home. I'm able to pack this into a backpack, take it on the go. There's wires everywhere. If you guys could see it from my perspective, it's like I've got just cords all over the place, but very cool. The only thing that I don't have is the second monitor. Otherwise, I'm basically set up the same way I am at my house. So I'm going to scroll down to TAO or Tau or Bitensor, however you want to call it. Now, where is it on this list? I know it's, maybe we'll just do a Control F. Bitensor, there it is. Bitensor ranked 33. Now, they are absolutely ripping right now, up 15% in the past 24 hours. If I pull this out to a month, this is up 66%. Really quite substantial growth. This is the kind of movement I think a lot of us maybe got too used to in 2024 and 2025, where we're like, okay, everything rips 66% in a month. That we kind of got used to that kind of stuff. Well, Bitensor is doing it right now. Let's see if it continues to run like this. I have a very small amount of Bitensor or Tau, however you want to call it. Now, this is going to be the AI token. So when I'm looking at which cryptos to buy, a big thing that I like to do is, diversify my utility. So, for example, XRP, all about Nostro Vostro. HBAR, all about real-world assets tokenization. Flare, all about DeFi, borrowing, lending, collateral pools, liquidity pools. Then I'm looking at Quant, interoperability. It's an operating system that connects blockchains. Well, I'm looking here at Bitensor. This is the AI space. So I'll be honest, AI is not exactly my forte. I'm not the AI guy, but it does seem like Tau is positioning itself very well to be the AI crypto. So I'm looking at this thinking this could certainly be something you add to your watch list. Maybe get a little bit of exposure to this. I'm not buying a whole lot of it right now, but I do have a little bit. Over time, I'd like to get more. But I do look at this and wonder if maybe, to some degree, maybe I've missed the boat a little bit. When something goes up 66%, your buying potential is cut more than in half. That's why I've really been harping on you guys, to buy Flare. By the way, I haven't said this probably in a few streams, so I should probably say it now. None of this is financial advice. I'm not a licensed professional. I'm just a guy on YouTube. So I've been telling people buy Flare, just buy Flare, because unlike the rest of the crypto market, Flare is for the most part at its all-time low, never been lower, which means the opportunity cost here has never been greater. If you go out and buy something like HBAR, Quant, Bitensor, they've already had some of their run, at least like in the grand story of those coins being live. Since Flare has been live, it's at an all-time low. It's never been lower than this. So you could get in on Flare, have quite literally the best buying opportunity for this token that's ever existed. I do see Flare becoming a top 10 coin market cap coin in the not so distant future. I really do believe in DeFi. And so this is the kind of thing I'm looking at. It's like, well, there's other coins right now that are growing faster than Flare. But since I believe in the project, I'm willing to put my money in Flare because, look, you try to hitch onto a wagon that's already halfway up the hill. Buying Bitensor after a 66% run, probably not going to give you the same long-term output that buying something that is at its all-time low like Flare will. Plus, every day we're hearing more and more great news about Flare. I'm seeing the chat move. Now I have to hold my phone to read it, so give me a few seconds here to just scroll through. It looks like we've got a couple of cool comments here. So Millpower says, we're moving towards the greed indicator. Very excited for that. It's been a long time coming. We've had a pretty rough 6 months. I don't know about you guys. I'm ready for some recovery here. I see that Gemini is here. Hello, Gemini. Hello, Gangsta Goblin. And, good morning from Wine Viking, or Viken. Greetings from your grape-growing Norwegian. Just downloaded the Bifrost wallet to deploy my Flare. Get some XRP and DeFi. Well done, my man or woman. I guess it could go either way. Hoping you all the best. I'm really glad that you guys are getting into DeFi Flare. I know it can be a little scary. If you're not used to the interface, it's like, oh man, this stuff's kind of scary. But, I have the faith, and I'm glad to see that you guys are hopping in there. I think that Flare, you guys, this DeFi stuff is going to really turn some heads over the next coming years. And Millpower and I have been kicking around some ideas. We might be able to share that a little bit next week. I think we're going to kind of connect on it. But essentially, the idea that we've got with Flare, if we know that we're getting between 8 and 12% annualized on our Flare, depending on who you're staking with, I mean, those are going to be different figures but depending on the FTSO you choose. If you're getting somewhere between 8 and 12%, you could, in theory, go out and get a loan that has an APY or like an interest rate of like 8% or lower. If you immediately were to stake your Flare tokens that you buy from a loan and then use the wrapped rewards that you get from that to pay back the loan, you could, in theory, after, 3 to 5 years, depending on what your loan statement is, pay off that entire loan with your yield. And at the end of that, you just, let's just say you bought 5 million Flare from a loan, then you would just have 5 million Flare. And so it almost would be kind of like the opposite of like buying a house or a car, where like instead of just throwing money away, it's like you're loaning money to make the money. I'm interested in this idea. I'll talk it over with Mill. Before I would relay something like that back to you guys, I want to make sure that we've got a good idea here. It's something that we're kicking around. I would definitely keep that on the radar, and we'll figure out if that's a working solution or not. Because think about it like this. If you were able to get 5 million Flare from a loan, when Flare hits $1, and I do believe that it will hit $1, that would be 5 million. And you could do that right now with just a loan of $50,000. So just throwing this out as like something we're thinking about. I'm not saying that we're going to do it, but we're definitely going to talk about it. And if that's something that you want to be a part of, even just for information gathering, if you just want to be a fly on the wall, hear us talking about this kind of stuff, I'm going to share an invite link to my Discord. I'll put it in the live chat here, and we'll pin this as a comment. Come join us on Discord. We're always sharing different ideas, good ideas, bad ideas. Just make sure if you do join, I just simply ask, do not post your wallet address. That kind of stuff can make people a little uncomfortable. So I have no problem with people sharing what experiments or ideas they have, as long as you're not posting links and wallet addresses. Everything is cool. But definitely want to make sure that we're protecting ourselves here. So hop in the Discord if you got some cool ideas that you want to run through. Josh Laser says, Andrew, you need to be looking through the ISO coins, not browsing through all the coin market cap coins. If you've got a link that you want me to run through, we definitely could do that. Otherwise, I mean, CoinMarketCap has an ISO category. I can show you guys how to get there. If you're on CoinMarketCap.com, you can, up here in this top ribbon, you can go to More. And then there's this button right here, More Categories. Click on this. And then just do a Control F and type in ISO. And that'll take you down to this ISO 20022 list. All of our favorite coins are already in it, you guys. XRP, Quant, Flare, HBAR, Stellar, Chainlink, Cardano. I don't actually have any Cardano. I know some people do. I like Charles Hoskinson. I know some people don't, but I do like him. So that's definitely one to keep an eye out for. XDC's on here: IOTA, Elgarand, ZBIC, XPR, Casper, Electra, Metal Blockchain. I mean, just about every single one of these is a coin that we've talked about at one point or another. And really, when people ask me, what should I be buying? Pick any of these 15. Now, of course, some of these are still, I think, going to do better than others. But, I mean, this is an excellent, excellent starting point. You guys know me, XRP, HBAR, Flare, and Quant. That's my top 4. Doesn't mean I don't think Stellar is going to do great. I think Stellar, it will do great. I think Cardano is actually going to have a good recovery. People have been very hard on Cardano. I think it will make a comeback. Some of these deeper picks down here, like ZBIC or IOTA, XPR, some of these are like very, very small in market cap. So I kind of like to avoid super small market cap coins. But you know what? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. There's going to be more room for explosive growth on a smaller market cap coin than, something like HBAR's XRP that already has billions of dollars in it. But at the same time, those also could have the risk of a failure to launch, right? So what do I mean by that? Well, not every project's going to make it. So by getting linked up with HBAR or Stellar, Chainlink, XRP, you're basically already saying, look, I know that some of these coins have already hit their most parabolic growth that they're ever going to have. However, I think they're going to stick around for the long term, and in the long run, getting a 10x, 15x, 20x, that's basically guaranteed. Much safer play than going after something that could have a 1000x or a 0x with little room in between. So that's kind of where you have to decide for yourself and do your own research and figure out what your own risk tolerance is, because there's a lot of different directions that you could go in when picking which of these coins to buy. That's why I have a kind of a middle ground, obviously all in on XRP, but then you have Quant and Flare, which are smaller in nature, but I do see them becoming industry leaders. So that's why those are in my top 4. I see the chat's rolling, so I'm going to try to catch up a little bit here. Wine says, I'm a hardworking man. In Norway, we have to pay 22% tax on staked income. What? Man, that is what I don't like to hear. The tax is a very interesting problem, and I think we're probably going to see it here in the United States as well. I don't know if a lot of people right now are actually actively paying taxes on their crypto, whether they should be or should not be. I think there's probably a large amount of people out there that are just sort of not looking at it. It could become a problem. It's something I've thought about. Now, I saw something on Twitter, I don't know how true it is, but somebody swapped Ethereum for Solana, and then on their tax form, there was no cost basis on the Solana. So when they sold the Solana, it was basically like think about it. Let me rewind here. If you have a cost basis, let's say you have a cost basis of 5,000, you sell at 6,000. You only have to pay taxes on the gains, which would be $1,000, right? What they're saying in this tweet was that they swapped from Ethereum to Solana, and when they swapped the Solana and then sold the Solana, there was no cost basis there, so the cost basis was basically zero. So the IRS is saying this person made 56 or whatever the number was on the tweet, saying that person made that much profit even though they didn't. This is something that we definitely want to think about, because I don't know about you guys. I'm not a tax professional. I don't spend my days doing taxes, so it's like that could be a blind spot for a lot of us. Just something to think about, because the last thing you want to do is get hit with a really bad tax bill. This could be a situation where you think, I love my country, I love my neighborhood, I love my friends. maybe it gets to a point where you say, do I gotta face the music and move somewhere where my money's protected? And it's definitely something to think about. I don't have a good answer for that, but I definitely want to at least put the idea out there. If the country you live in has almost egregious tax laws, maybe finding somewhere else to go could be an option. So it's just putting that on the radar, not saying anyone has to do anything today, but just something for people to think about. To that end, Gemini says, move to Poland. Here you only pay crypto fiat, no taxation in crypto to crypto transactions. That's what I like to hear. I think that's the way that it should be, especially, that's one thing the Clarity Act would probably solve. So, by the way, guys, I got a little bit of cotton mouth. I'm just going to fill up a glass of water. Give me like 10 seconds. I swear I'll be right back. Where's the water button? I don't have sorry about that, everyone. I'm here. So a little bit of water. Oh, a little bit of water goes a long way. Sorry, I just had a little bit of a dry throat there. So like I was saying, I think with the Clarity Act, what we would end up getting out of that is that if your assets go from a security to a commodity, you don't have to pay capital gains tax moving commodities to commodities. And if you think about it, it makes sense. Like manufacturing companies aren't paying income tax every time they move product, right? So if we get our Clarity Act, I think crypto to crypto transactions would no longer be, taxable events, but they are securities at least right now, which is why we are seeing crazy tax rules. Hopefully that gets better over time. Dunamis asked me what I think about Songbird. I think it's weird that when people talk about the Songbird price, it makes me wonder if they know that Songbird is a test net. So anything that happens on Flare happens on Songbird first. And, given my own IT background, I kind of see how all of this works. So you have what's called the development system. That's where you develop things on. Then you have what's called a test system, or sometimes it's called quality. You test on that, so it's like a enclosed environment. You work out all the kinks, and then you eventually deploy that thing to what's called a production system or operational server. So like Songbird would be the test net, and then Flare is the live production server, the production client for that particular network. So I think when people are buying Songbird, it's like, do they understand that they're buying into a test net? I'm not sure that everyone fully understands that part. I don't have any Songbird at all, and I don't plan to buy any. Now, some people might say like, oh well, you can participate in the testing environment, and maybe there's some rewards that you can get from doing that. It's just not something I'm personally doing, but there's some people out there that really like being part of the experimental process. I just don't know if I would buy Songbird. I think you can acquire Songbird without buying it, but I'll be honest, maybe you can't buy it on Coinbase. I haven't seen it on any exchanges, so I guess I don't even really know exactly how you would get Songbird, at least not from an exchange. But that's basically my thoughts on it. I like Songbird, but I wouldn't buy it. I guess that's my perspective. Let's see what else we got going on in the chat. Fate Loves Irony says, I think it's going to go to 30 this month. Oh, okay. Fate thinks XRP will go to 30 this month. Well, that could certainly happen if the reverse carry trade unwinds, which I'm seeing another comment here. Before I get into too many different threads, we're going to move on to the reverse carry trade here in just a second. I'm going to get caught up on the chat, and then we're going to jump into oil and the bond market. So I'm going to catch up on the chat real quick, and then we're going to switch topics. So AL3 says, asks if I'm making water. Yes, I'm in an Airbnb right now. The water machine only had ice on it. Now, maybe if I had more time to poke around with it, I could have figured it out. But I'm like, oh, crap. I'm on a live stream, so I'm hitting the buttons I couldn't figure out. So I just grabbed a can of pop out of the refrigerator. Not exactly water, but I guess it's... It did its job. I had some dry mouth, which has gotten better. I'm visiting friends that are, by the way, they live down south. All of you southern folk were telling me how warm it is down here. I get here and it's like 45 degrees. I think I brought the cold weather with me back from Detroit. So hopefully we get some warmer weather as Saturday and Sunday hit. But it's all the same. Just happy to be visiting my buddies. Mike says, Australia up to 49 cents in the dollar. That's taxes? That's crazy, you guys. That is outrageous. 49% tax. Oh, and I guess the ice machine was pretty loud for you guys. These microphones are interesting in what they pick up and don't pick up, because sometimes I feel like I'm very quiet when I'm talking, and then the things I don't want to be loud are very loud, so that's funny. Mill Power says, talk about the dude who swapped 50 million USDT for 30K AV. I saw that, Mill. Be very careful, you guys, trading things that have slippage. That is like a freak of nature nightmare story. I guess I don't really know what to say for that, except for if something's warning you not to proceed with a transaction, you probably shouldn't do it. But to that end, maybe it's a good idea not to ever move your whole bag at once. Like, there's nothing stopping you from sending things over piecemeal. That's what I do. Let's say I was to move like a large amount of XRP out of one of my wallets. I wouldn't move the full balance. I'd move them over in tiny chunks, just because you never know if something's gonna go wrong. You'd be better off losing 10% of your wallet than like 80% or 90 or 100. Which it sounds like, I don't know exactly what went wrong with this AAVE. I don't even know what that is, to be honest with you guys. But it sounds like he wanted to do some kind of DeFi stuff with it. I bet that wouldn't have happened on the Flare network. Josh says, Mill Power, if you had a $3,000 bonus, what coins would you buy? Now, I guess that was for Mill. Maybe I could throw my own hat in. Let's see. Mill Power says 70% to XRP, 15% to Flare, 15% to HBAR. I mean, that's pretty close to what I would do. On a personal level, I would probably put... Now, this is just what I would do with considering where I'm at in my own crypto like journey, I guess you could say. I'd probably put a little bit more of that into Flare. I might actually go like 50% Flare, like 35% XRP, and then 15% HBAR. You guys, right now, I can't stress enough, you guys, I really do think Flare is going to... it's going to turn some heads. I don't know if people really realize just how important Flare is going to be going forward. XRP is great for Nostro Vostro. We already know. We've covered this multiple times on the channel. Nostro Vostro, $30 to $40 trillion locked up in these vaults, just sitting there waiting for international business to have a use for them. You get them on the XRPL, that frees up like $30-40 trillion. You just do the simple napkin math. You only got 100 billion max XRP. Only 65 of it is in circulation. This chart, for whatever reason, this has never been right. We can get this down to the exact token if we wanted to do that using the XRP rich list. You got to think, okay, 65 billion XRP. You can't use all 65 billion because it's locked up in people's wallets. If your XRP is in a wallet not getting used, it's not in play. So really, the only XRP that's in play for the Nostro Vostro is what's freely available on exchanges. That could only be 5 to 10 billion. Hard to get a real number on that one. But let's just say it was 10 billion. I mean, you got 10 billion XRP covering 30 trillion Nostro Vostro. That'd be what, like $3,000 per token? That's just some simple napkin math there. I'm looking at that. It's like, well, that's always going to be in play. Whatever the headlines are saying, Nostro Vostro is XRP's main purpose. Flare has given XRP a different purpose from that, which you guys, it's going to make XRP more powerful. Is getting it involved in DeFi, borrowing, lending, liquidity pools, staking pools. It's when Flare's doing this stuff, it's like they're not just doing it to be nice. You know what I'm saying? They're not just doing it to be a good Samaritan. Like, Flare's going to get something out of this too. And I think what Hugo has done over there is absolutely genius. Extremely bullish on Flare, you guys. If nothing else, at this point in time, Flare's basically latched on to XRP. So if XRP hits the Nostro Vostro accounts, which we are pretty certain it will after Clarity Act passes, Flare's going to move up with that. Flare might also move more because of the other things that it's doing. So that's why right now I'm looking at Flare and I'm just thinking, like, man, I almost can't get enough of it right now. That's why I haven't really been buying Quant or HBAR, even though I want to be. Everything that I buy is an opportunity cost against Flare right now, which is really a strong indicator for how good Flare is. When you're looking at a token and you're like, oh man, if I buy this, I'm getting less of that. That's how you know you gotta love the Flare, you guys. So we're gonna move on to the oil and gas real quick. You guys are really buzzing in the chat today, which I highly appreciate. I love when you guys interact because it gives me, there's a certain randomness to streaming that you don't get when you do a pre-recorded video. When you do a pre-record, you just kind of talk about your topics and move on. But like, you guys are talking about things, and it's like, okay, like, we're bouncing stuff off each other. By the way, around 4 o'clock, I'm gonna basically shoot this again, but in a consolidated format. Don't feel pressed to watch that. If you guys are watching the streams, you're getting the best of the best version of this. But the pre-recorded video is for the people that maybe they can't catch the stream live, or they see the playback and they're like, oh, he streamed for 90 minutes. I don't have 90 minutes, and so they don't watch it. This is gonna be like a real fast, heavy hitting 15-20 minute video, so we can kind of grab the whole audience here. So I'm going to jump to oil. Oil's back on the rise. Now, it's been about 48 hours since my last stream, so we've had some time here to see how things will move. Now, 48 hours ago for me, oil was at around 14,000 yen. So the last time I streamed, I was a little bit like, man, this market is too crazy to track. Now, I look at the 7-day moving average here. This is actually what makes sense to me. Now, let's just imagine March 9th never happened. We never had this crazy spike. If you were to just kind of follow this pattern, this is what would make sense to me. This is what I originally thought the chart would look like. We went from 12,000 yen a barrel to 15,000 in a matter of about 7 days. That's kind of what I was expecting. If this trend continues, 2 weeks from now, we could be at 20,000 yen per barrel. This is going to be, causing some trouble here in the very near future. Now, I know gas prices here in the United States have already started going up, but they're going up dramatically, especially in Asian markets. I'm seeing footage out of China. Even Paul Barron's shared it, so I think it's I think it's real footage, at least in this case, not like the Iran stuff. Um, there's people lining up at gas stations in Asia to fill up before this thing collapses, and we know that the oil reserves have been triggered in, at least in Japan. What does that mean? Well, it's kind of like whenever you get super paranoid, you go to Costco and buy up all the toilet paper, right? That's kind of what happened with oil before the Iran war happened. So anyone paying close attention to this stuff knows that this war has been kind of it's been on the back burner at least since last year when the original strikes went out. If you guys remember around, I want to say it was like June. I'd have to pull up a calendar, but I think it was around June was when the first missiles started flying, and that's when you had I'm trying to remember which one it was. Well, this is the missiles that you would see flying back and forth. I think that happened around June of last year. So if you're in Asia and you see that, you're like, well, I better have some oil reserves stocked up and ready to go for the next time this happens. So you have to imagine they've been stockpiling in Asia for quite a while now. If they're now activating those reserves, that means at some point they're going to run out. And so the longer this situation lasts, and I do think it will last, I think this is a problem I don't think just goes away because you want it to. And we don't have to get too conspiratorial. I know there's some people that think that like this whole thing is planned and that like all the world governments are in on it. Maybe some of that is true. I don't think in the case of Iran that's true. I think Iran is not playing by the rest of the world's rule book. And there's reasons we could dig into that. They are one of the only countries not in the central banking system. Topic probably for another YouTube channel, but it is related. It does matter here. This matters because hold on, I gotta take a sip. This matters here because everyone's saying like, okay, XRP is going to replace the global financial system and everybody's in on it. Well, if Iran's not in on it, and Iran is controlling the output of oil in the Middle East, this is a wild card that I don't think any of us can really accurately predict going forward with this current situation. Like, I don't think Iran's just going to stop because, there's some secret Kabbalist meeting says, all right, we got our catastrophe. Let's start to move things around. I don't think that they're on that same wavelength. I think they might say, you know what? If we're going down, we're going to make the rest of the world suffer with us. And I think that's what we're seeing. So the Strait of Hormuz could be a problem that doesn't go away for a very long time. If Asia runs out of these oil reserves in that time frame, this right here could go gangbusters. We're sitting here right now, I'm looking at it, it's just shy of 16,000 yen a barrel. We see that gangbusters crisis going on. Who knows, guys? This could go to 30,000. And that's what worries me because, look, the reverse carry trade is cool. Like, yeah, we all want to get rich. I understand. There's economic repercussions of this that just being rich does not solve all of your problems. If you go to Costco and they are not able to fill the shelves, it doesn't really matter how much money you have, right? There's still going to be shortage of goods, shortage of food, shortage of utilities. That's the thing I'm worried about. I don't know if enough people in the crypto world are taking that seriously enough. That even if the reverse carry trade actually does unwind and we get these miracle prices in XRP, you might be very well off on a balance sheet but still waiting in the same gas line for like 3.5 hours to gas up your vehicle. Do you guys see where I'm going with this? At that level, it's not going to matter if you have $1 or $1 million, you're still fighting for the same scarce resources, which would be very real stuff like, oil, gas, food, electricity, toilet paper, your normal essentials. Maybe it could even get a little worse than that. Maybe you have to go to the ammo store. Do you guys get where I'm going with that? So it's not something I can't stress it enough on this channel. I know I say it in every stream, but I just can't stress enough that even though we want the reverse carry trade to happen, this is not something you necessarily want to be cheerleading, or like, you don't want to be looking at oil being like, oh my gosh, it hit 18,000 today, and you don't want to be jumping for joy over that. I can't stress enough. That's not going to be good for global society. So I'm looking at this, I'm thinking like, well, this could become a real big problem here for us in the next 6 months, regardless of the prices of crypto. A 30,000 yen barrel of oil will basically collapse all of global supply chain, not just in Asia, but North America as well. You want your Grand Theft Auto 6, they might delay the game. We got our global collapse before we got GTA 6. I don't want to scare people. That's not the goal here, isn't to like put fear in people's heads, but it's just I just want people to take a step back and realize this is not necessarily like getting rich at the expense of the world. Maybe not the best thing to be cheerleading. I'm looking at the Japanese bonds right now. We're at 2.24. This is the highest that it's been all month. It has not been higher than this since January. We track this daily on the channel. Last time we were in the 2.2s. I guess technically it was there in the beginning of February. After Valentine's Day, it dropped down. Didn't get back up to that range. Ooh. I guess on March 8th, it very, very, very briefly hit 2.2, but it didn't stick there for very long. And now we're definitely moving up. I mean, we're at 2.24 and climbing. Let's see where this goes. I've been saying probably since November, I think 2.5 to the 3.0 range for this JP10Y is when we start to see a potential crisis for the yen, and that's when you would see that reverse carry trade. Now, you add to the pot of soup here your oil shortage and the price of oil. I mean, you got to think like the price of oil and the actual shortage of the oil go hand in hand. So, I mean, the fact that you don't have the oil is also part of the problem, right? So you don't have the oil. The oil is becoming extremely expensive. And all those loans that you gave out to the rest of the world now are going to have to be paid back with interest. There hasn't been interest on these loans since the 80s. So a lot of the people that have the loans keep rolling the balance forward. It's a loan tactic that, if you're not aware of how this works, this is like your borrow and lending capstone project. Like, this is some very advanced material here, but you get a loan, and instead of paying back the loan with like income, you actually pay that loan with another loan, and then you kind of keep rolling the loans. And so if you have a 0% interest loan, you can roll those loans for decades, and the interest is 0%, so it doesn't matter. Getting to 2.2% interest here, that starts to make it matter. And the higher this goes, the more scary it gets, because that means that you're going to have to pay back more down the road. So some people, or not people, but some entities are going to be looking at this thinking, well, we can't wait for this thing to hit 4%. We can't wait for this to hit 6%. We have to pay these loans back now. And if you don't have the yen on hand to do it because you traded it for something else, Well, that's where the XRP comes into play. That's why we are all sitting here looking at this thinking, okay, reverse carry trade, XRP could rip soon. That's where that mindset comes from. So just in case you guys did not know that. By the way, we got about 50 of you here. There's only 22 likes. Could you guys help me get to 30? 30 likes. I'm not going to pause the stream or anything like that, but every little bit definitely helps. Now I'm seeing Benjamin invested in the GTA company, invested in a Rockstar. I have a prediction for you guys. I want to see if this comes true. This is just where I think things are heading. I think that Grand Theft Auto 6, I'm saying it here on the channel. You guys come back in November when the game comes out and tell me if I'm right. I think GTA 6 will have crypto integration. I think they're either going to make their own crypto, they might use an already existing crypto, or they might use a stable coin for in-game currency. So, I mean, how many of you guys have played games like Call of Duty or FIFA or like Overwatch? I know that's a big one. Or like Diablo Immortal on the cell phone. That's a big one. You play these games and they have in-game currency for the in-game store. Like you have to buy gems, or you gotta buy crystals, or you gotta buy Shark Bucks in Grand Theft Auto. I think it's called Shark Bucks. These are already in-game currencies that you're spending real money on acquiring. To me, the logical next step is for these companies to just make a cryptocurrency that could be traded on real exchanges like Coinbase or Kraken or on DEXs. And you can either use that money to buy in-game items, or you could actually use that money on like the exchanges for like buying and trading and kind of like flipping money, right? And we've already seen some archaic implementation of this as far back as Diablo 2. If you guys don't know Diablo 2, I'm just going to pull up a screenshot just so that you can kind of understand. Diablo 2, very old game. This is what the game looks like. I'm just pulling up the first screenshot that I can find here on the internet. Let's see if we can go to full image mode. I just want to see the full image here. This is what Diablo 2 looked like. It's an over the bird's eye view video game. Here we go. I mean, basically the point I'm trying to get at is this game is old. It's an old game. It's been around since 2001 or something like that. So if you never played Diablo 2, it's a game where you go kill monsters, and when the monsters die, they drop items. And the best items in the game would have drop rates lower than, in some cases, like real-world lotteries. If you ever played the game and had to get runes, you know what I'm talking about. If you found a rune, you could go to this website called D2JSP, the D2JSP forums, and you could trade real-life dollars for forum gold. Now, I could trade in-game items for forum gold and convert those back to US dollars. In a very, very strange way, D2JSP is like the original cryptocurrency. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, to me, it only makes sense that video games will at some point allow actual crypto in the video game itself, so that you can flip that for money. Now, in this specific case, this isn't run by Blizzard. This is like a fan or not fans, but it's run as like a third party. I think we're gonna start to see these types of sites. Well, I wouldn't say sites, but you're gonna see this type of activity run in game by the actual companies that make the game. I think that that's where we're headed. And this will also apply for NFTs as well. So NFTs in 2021 didn't really pan out very well. But I think that NFTs will make a big comeback in the gaming scene for things like weapon skins, character models. The Seattle Seahawks just won the Super Bowl. What if, Grand Theft with Rockstar does a partnership with the Seattle Seahawks and says, all right, we're gonna make 50 Seahawk Lamborghini skins for GTA 6. It's gonna have the Super Bowl. Maybe each skin will have a jersey number on it. So I don't actually know the Seahawks roster very well, but you could get the what's his face, Sam Darnold. I got the Sam Darnold Super Bowl Seahawks Lambo skin. I could use it in game, or I could sell it on the open market. It'd be like trading baseball cards. Like oh my gosh, the Sam Darnold Super Bowl Lambo is on sale for 50 USD. Maybe you hold on to it 2 years later. It's like, dude, I just bought that for $200. Point being, NFTs in the gaming market going to add money into the blockchain. All these things are going to transact on a ledger. If a company like Hedera, if Grand Theft Auto 6 runs on the Hedera ledger, the Hashgraph ledger, that's going to make HBAR's price go up. Even if Rockstar makes their own coin, if it runs on the Hedera layer, it's going to be more money for HBAR. I want you guys to be thinking about that stuff, because that's what I'm thinking about. And I get really excited, actually, when I think about that stuff. Now, let's jump in. I see you guys are moving in the chat. I'm going to try to move this along a little bit. We're already at 12. I'll keep going. I've shortened the streams to 1 hour, but if we're on a good roll, I'll keep this thing rolling for sure. I want to jump over to my spreadsheet. I got my stake, and it came on the day I thought it would, by the way. I got my yellow highlighted box. Let me make sure I highlight the next one. So where's my calendar here? So I got this thing on the 12th. So it stands to reason I should get my next stake on March 26th. Now where's the fill? There we go. So this was pretty consistent with what I was expecting. On February 26th, I got 198.15 for my stake. Now yesterday, I got 190.35. I was originally thinking, that's kind of low. We figured it out, you guys. My epochs for staking are getting included in my delegation reward. What does that mean? I'm using the Anchor FTSO for both my wrapping and my stake. Now, when you stake with an FTSO, you're also getting the wrapped reward on top of the stake. That's why this stake is like 12 to 15% APY. Because I'm doing this in wrapping and in staking, when it's time for me to get my delegation reward, I'm getting basically the 50,000 wrapped flare that's already being delegated, and I'm getting the 50,000 flare that's staked. So really, I have about 100,000 flare wrapped with Anchor. That's why I'm getting 50 to 55 delegation out of my wrap, and the staking looks a little bit lower. Now, if I was to only be staking, I would really expect my every 2 week payout to be somewhere around 225 to 250. That would actually check out, because really the wrapping reward should be closer to 30, not 50. So I'm basically getting my delegation rewards twice. That's kind of what's happening here. But long story short, guys, even though this isn't exactly the way I was hoping, like the data would report out, because I figured this out in real time. I didn't think this was going to happen when I started this on February 1st. Long story short, guys, I'm very happy with staking right now. We're about 6, maybe 7 weeks into this. By far and away, staking has been my favorite in terms of output, I'm more happy with staking than I am with wrapping or with the collateral pools. Pulling in, I mean, even 190 every 2 weeks is pretty good on 50,000, but that's not even factoring. I am getting those epochs. They're just being put into a different column because it's not part of my stake. By the way, I have the oh, there should be a tab down here, but I don't see it. I think my screen might be getting cut off. There it is. You can see, oh, this is I'm not on my normal monitor, so everything's like super tiny for me right now. You might be able to see this better if I just pull it up in my photos. Yeah, here we go. That looks a little better. You can see, here's my claiming stake reward, right? So I claimed this today, or not today, I claimed this yesterday. And you can see, like, there it is, boom, 190. Got the screenshot of it. If I were to only have the stake, not the wrapping, that should be somewhere around 225 to 250. That's really good, you guys. That's really good. Now, I only have 50,000 flare in this experiment. I've said this before. I have more flare on my real normal wallet. And I don't want to get into specifics, but it's more than 50,000, and I'm staking almost all of it. I'm getting nice rewards out of this, you guys, out of the staking, and you know, I'm gonna try and increase my outputs even beyond what it's at right now. Let's just say you had 1 million in stake. You know, I got 50,000 in here right now, so multiply that by 20, guys. Shoot, I don't have a calculator out. On a Windows computer, the calculator is pretty easy to find. Let's see. Oh, here we go. What's 190 times 20? That's gonna be like 38. Can you guys imagine you're getting 3,800 flare every 2 weeks? And that's not even to factor in that the wrapping's actually kind of goofed up there. So let's just say that we're getting 250. Would you guys be happy with 5,000 flare every 2 weeks? Or really, let's just make this even better. You getting 10,000 flare a month, or let's go by the year here. You're getting 120,000 flare annually. By the way, this compounds on each other, so when it goes back in, it's not even just 120. It's actually more than that. But I don't think this calculator can do that kind of mathematical. I would need one of them TI-83s. You know, the kind of what you had in high school? I would need one of those. But you're getting a compound on every single reward you claim. It's going back into the pool, making your reward just a little bit better the very next time. If you had 1 million flare staked, you're pulling this kind of value. Run the play for 4 or 5 years. You've gone from 1 million flare to 2 million flare without actually having to buy any additional flare. We haven't even talked about what price appreciation is going to do for this asset yet. So that's why, you guys, I'm looking at staking. I'm like, guys, this is the real deal. Like, I don't know if you want to be missing out on this. Not financial advice. I know that stuff's scary and not everyone wants to do it quite yet, but even if you were to just start small, 50,000 flare is like $450, I think. I feel like that's a small price to pay to get your feet wet, get some experience. I have an eye crusty. Hold on, I'm trying to get my eye crusties out. It's a small. That's the price of an Xbox. If you're willing to pay the price of an Xbox, you could get into flare staking and start finding out this stuff really is the real deal. I am 100% confident at this point that it's safe. I know some people aren't, but maybe 100% is too high. 99%. I never like to say I'm 100% anything. There is always that freak chance factor. So I'm 99% confident that Flare's staking on the actual Flare network is safe. Some of this third-party stuff like Mystic and Kinetic, Firelight, maybe I'm like 85% to 90% confident. Why am I pulling away a little bit there? Because it's not directly on the Flare network. Like, we got to ask ourselves, do you think Mystic will be here in 30 years? I quite literally don't have an answer for that. And so it is something that you got to think about, is like, well, if this thing were to go away, what does that mean for what your assets that are locked up in it? I don't know. And that's where I'm saying, like, maybe I'm not 100% there yet on some of this stuff. But when it comes to the Flare network itself, I'm staking directly on the Flare network. It's not like Hashpack where I have to get the Hashpack wallet to stake my HBAR. I'm staking my Flare right there on their network direct. So that's why I'm much more confident that my Flare is safe on there than on like a third-party builder app. Like, it's not a DApp, it's quite literally on the Flare network. So that's where my enthusiasm comes from that. Now, Kinetic's been pretty nice so far. I've got it open. I haven't claimed I don't think I have rewards to claim yet. But I've got 500 FXRP in the Kinetic, and I've got 50,000 Flare in Kinetic. The next cycle reward says I got 106 Flare coming my way. I've also been getting some daily yield on this. We started at 50,000. It's now up to 16 Flare in terms of what's been generated. Not crazy. I'm not going to say that, I'm blown away by that, but look at the APY on this. You add the two together, I'm getting 8.52% APY on Kinetic. Pretty solid, especially considering that there's no lockup period here. I could pull this out at any time. My staked Flare is locked up until August 3rd, so there's some flexibility here. I lose some APY on this because it's not locked up, but then I gain the flexibility of being able to move it around. Pretty cool stuff. Mystic has been coming back a little bit. APY is up to 4.4%. This is pretty nice, you guys. I'm not going to say I'm like blown away by 4.5%, but it is in the range where I'm like, okay, I'm happy with that. If this can stay in this range, if it can stay above 4%, I'll feel much better about Mystic than I did last week. You can see, and I think this is a new chart. I don't think this chart was here. I'd have to go back and watch my old streams, but I think this is a new chart. You can see that the APY was like abysmal for about 4 or 5 days in this 1% range. I was actually pretty upset when I saw this. You guys watch those streams, you'll see that I was not happy on the stream. Well, it's come back up. On March 6th, the APY went back up to 5.5%. It's been kind of hanging out in this low 4s ever since. I can work with this, you guys. This is not a bad place for it to be. If this stays above 4%, we're cool. I think Kinetic is still maybe a little better. I think the FXRP has... Okay, the FXRP on Kinetic is only 2.5%. So that's not crazy either. But let's see what happens with Firelight. I saw today Hugo's been tweeting a lot in the past 24 hours about Firelight. He's almost kind of like a social media blitz. In fact, let's pop over to Twitter and see if maybe we can catch some of these tweets from Hugo. Now, I think I follow Hugo. Yeah, I do follow him. Okay. Let's see. I'm surprised that maybe I haven't hit the refresh button. I'm surprised that the Hugo's tweets aren't just like immediately popping up, unless maybe it only works when he replies to stuff. Let's just pop over to his main account. Um, let's see. Um, by the way, if you don't know, Hugo lives in Dubai, so I like the UAE. I've been there. I've been to Qatar. I haven't been to Dubai, but I've been to Qatar. Beautiful place. My heart goes out to them. I had a really good time there. It upsets me to see what's going on over there because, I'm really big on like respect and decorum. And so when I was over there, I found it very admirable just how polite everyone was in public, and like public decency there was on a level that I don't see in the United States ever. And so I found it very admirable. So it makes me sad to see like what's going on over there. I do want to see them make a comeback. So definitely agree with Hugo when he says he wants to see things kind of turn around there. Now I know he had some tweets. I'm wondering why I'm not seeing them on his Twitter page. I have to imagine he wouldn't have deleted them. Okay, here's one. We are almost at 200 million USD in FXRP now. Soon's going to be at 1 billion. Guys, this is straight from Hugo saying this. And there was another tweet he had about March 18th. I don't know why I'm not seeing it, but I even left a comment on it. So in fact, I even think I reposted it. Yeah, let's just go to my page. I swear I reposted it. Yeah, I did. Okay. Hello. Why don't I go to my own Twitter? I literally posted his tweet. Here's the tweet, guys. Firelight raising the cap, March 18th. That's Wednesday of next week. I would like to see where Firelight goes. I'm very excited for it. I know I've been a little hard on it lately because, look, I do want some more news about it. It's been since December 4th. Maybe I'm a little antsy. It looks like we're going to be getting some news on it very soon, as in literally next week. Let's see where this goes. Firelight could be the best DeFi platform for FXRP. We're just going to have to see. I want to know what happens with our points. I think I have over. Let's just go. I'm just going to log into my Firelight and look. I haven't logged into Firelight in a bit because there just hasn't been much to look at. But let's see how many points I have. We'll just connect right now. Make sure this is, yep. Just got to hit yes to all the boxes. Yep. Confirm. Yep. Accept. Let's connect that wallet and see how many points I've got. And I've only got 300 in here. It's all I could get. The vaults have been full, so I would have put more than 300 if I was able to. I just had to work with what I had. So I'm currently at 1.3 million points. Is that good? I don't know, because I don't know what the points do. That's when I say like I want some more transparency, that's kind of what I'm talking about, because I quite literally can't tell you guys what these points do. But I'm hopeful that we'll get some good yield out of this, and I'm hopeful that news about the yield comes out next week. If nothing else, the vaults go up. If Hugo's saying to get into it, I'm not saying I'm like blindly following Hugo, but if he says, if you want to participate, have your FXRP ready to go, I'm not going to take this messaging right here for granted. If Hugo's saying get ready, I will trust him and I will be ready. And then, extrapolating that out to you guys as well. If you want to be in this, be ready yourselves. I don't know. I'm going into this dark just like you guys are, so I don't know what's going to be on the other side of March 18th. I just know that I'm going to be involved. Whatever happens, happens. Do your own research, you guys, before getting involved in this stuff. But I will be there. That's all I'm saying. I will be there March 18th. And so that is the plan. Let me catch up on the chats here. You and Millpower should get a loan from the Bank of Japan to do your big flare project. 2.5% or 2.3% interest. I don't know how to get a loan from the Bank of Japan. You know, we talk about it so much on the channel, but then it's like, well, I don't actually know how you would. I don't know how a guy like me would even get a loan from Bank of Japan. I don't know if I can, but would be interesting to try. Mill and I will talk more about this idea. I'm on vacation, so Mill, I know you're watching. We'll have to connect on this when I get home. Once my buddy gets off work, I'm gonna be in vacation mode. But I like the idea. I'm just a little nervous about it. You guys know I don't like loans, but I'm open-minded to hearing the strategy. By the way, if you're watching this, I did watch the video you sent me about income tax. When you guys send me stuff, I try to watch everything you guys send me, but I do get a lot of stuff that sometimes there's like more stuff than I could possibly listen to, because like if 5 people send me an hour-long podcast, I've got to like pick and choose which ones I'm going to be able to watch. So if you guys send me stuff, I do try to watch what you guys send me. I might not be able to watch every single thing, just so we're all on like the same page. But yeah, if you guys got stuff like this, feel free to share it in my Discord. That's a good spot for us to all kind of collaborate and share our ideas and our thoughts. Looks like we got a couple new requests, so I'm going to go in there and accept them. Welcome Sharon, and welcome Mr. 10. So happy to have more of you on board. Once I'm back from vacation, we'll do a kind of like a content blast. I know in the past week or two, I've been really tracking the war stuff, guys, and I don't necessarily want to make war content, so I haven't made as many videos as I should be making, but I've just been really tracking the whole Iran situation. And it seems like maybe some of the sensationalism of it all has died down a little bit. So it's like, okay, now I can kind of like focus back in on crypto. But the war in Iran and crypto are very intertwined. So it's like you kind of have to know what's going on. So that's what I've been doing. I do want to make an oil-specific video. And there's a member here on the channel who's very, very knowledgeable about oil. We're going to try and coordinate. This definitely won't happen this weekend, but could happen next week, or it's really going to come down to his schedule. Yeah, I'm content creating full time, so I am able to be very flexible. Some of you guys are working regular jobs, and obviously hard to say, hey, hop on a call with me at 2 p.m. when you're at your day job. So I'd like to get that one out. We'll talk about oil soon. I just don't know when we're going to get to shooting that. And then I do have a little bit of a backlog. Some of you guys have asked for video requests or like topics to cover. I'm going to do my best to comb back through that and knock those out. But probably won't happen until I'm done with vacation. So I think I've run through the topics for today. I don't think I showed silver. Let's at least pop over to silver. Silver's down from kind of on a 5-day slide here. Haven't really looked at silver as much this week, but the things I was expecting out of COMEX did not happen as expected. Welcome to trading, man. I was expecting the silver to pop. It did not pop. It's actually going back down. All we can do is just keep tracking it. We know that there's long contracts out there. higher than the amount of silver that can be fulfilled by COMEX. We're just going to have to keep monitoring this, because I actually was expecting this to go up and it went down. That's the market for you. That's why they say you can't time the market. That's why you need to have time in the market. A perfect example of that. What I thought was going to happen, the opposite happened. So we'll keep watching this. Silver's down on the week. 5-day average has been moving down. So keep an eye on that. Aside from that, I think we hit all the other topics for today. So I appreciate you guys hopping on here. We'll be back. I'll be back on Monday. So I'm coming home Monday, but my flight's at night. So I'm going to be able to stream Monday just like normal. So next week, normal content schedule. I'll stream all 5 days. And so we'll be back on our regular schedule. Beyond that, expect tonight. Up to you guys. I know you guys have been watching the stream. Happy to have you guys watch the video coming out this afternoon, but it might be a little redundant for you guys. I'm basically going to do a dry run without the live stream or without the chat. Just here's what happened in crypto this week. Boom, 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 boom. Going to be kind of a fast, heavy-hitting video. This will be basically for the people that aren't able to make the stream, because I know that there's a whole subset of people that watch the channel that don't have time for streams. So a little bit redundant for you guys. If you want to watch it anyways, and like if you really want to like help support me, because like you guys are kind of like the core group that are like really like coming back like every day, which I really appreciate. If you guys wanted to share those videos on Twitter, like you don't even have to watch them, just because the share button really helps. The share button really helps. Even if you were to share it to my own Discord, which would be kind of like cheesy, but just little stuff like that goes a long way at getting reach in terms of YouTube's like reward mechanism. So gonna try and knock that one out. Should be out around 4 or 5, maybe 6 at the latest. I try to shoot that when markets officially close. That way I don't make a statement that ends up not being true. Like for example, like when I logged in today, I'm like, oh, Bitcoin's gonna hit 74,000. I'm gonna put that in the tagline of my live stream, and then like 10 minutes before the stream starts, the run stopped. So I want to wait till 4:30 so that whatever I'm covering, the markets are closed and it's like the actual news, right? So we'll try to shoot that around 4:30, and then beyond that, I'll see you guys for sure on Monday. So thanks for hopping in. I'm very glad that my mobile setup is working. It worked when I went to the HBAR conference, and it worked again when I'm in my Airbnb. When crypto hits, you guys, I might just stream. I mean, that might just be what it is, and I'll just go travel the world, stream to you guys, and then go screw around and live that that crypto bro lifestyle. So cool stuff. I will see y'all Monday, and I'll have that one coming out either tonight or early morning tomorrow if I don't. You never know. The guys might want to go out. So signing off for now. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.